I'm back again, and I'm in the process of doing another operation on the cross slide for the lime hand shaper, and I hope you can appreciate that everything that I'm doing here is a pretty drastic in the sense that the machine is being tested in a sense. I want you to take into account the fact that the T-slots and the studding is only 3/16 diameter, so everything is very small on here. And what I have done in clamping this to the table, I'm using one of these units. It's for clamping thin material onto the surface, and as you can see, it has an angle with a looks like a 5/16 in there, and as you wind it down, it creaks. It's like the new Kurt vices, where the moving jaw pulls everything down. That's all that is holding this. I've got one of these at each end, and of course, as you can see, I hope I have them clamped to the table by larger clamps, and the reason for that is that the hole in here is quite large. The center hole for clamping this unit down onto the table, it's very large, and it looks as though it's for probably 3/8 studding. So I think when you're watching this video, you have to take into account the stability of clamping this unit onto the table and machining. I'm using a 3/8 roughing cutter, just solely because I started side machining on this face to get the dimension of 3.215 across the top edges of the dovetails. So that wasn't very successful. It was making a lot of noise, and you could feel the whole unit was vibrating, and it didn't feel safe at all. Bearing in mind that the clamping arrangement on these little machines, you know, all you have really is 3/16 studding with 3/16 T-nuts. So, you know, I mean, you could wrench up and probably do some damage. So you have to take that into account as well. If it's a big machine, then you can clamp this thing down really solid, and you can take a bigger cut. Now, I've only started milling this. What I did was I came in from this side, moved in the amount that's required across the top of the two dovetails, that distance there, and I've allowed some extra on that for finishing off. but I didn't know what was going to take place when I took a cut on this, so I just took a 20 thou deep cut, and I'll probably increase that because I have to go down, or at least that much, to remove enough material, at least half an inch or 450. So I started off with a small cut, and I'll probably put a bigger cut on. I just set the table up to go from 0 to 11.4 and back again on the same cut. I could have put a program in there where it cuts at that end coming up and then another cut going back, but I'm not going to rush this thing. This is a big chunk of metal and it costs quite a bit of money, and this is just a hobby. I've got plenty of time. Just for the sake of trying to speed things up and having a crash or something take place and ruin the casting, it's just not worth it. So I'm taking things pretty easy. I just don't want at this stage to have a problem. So when it reaches 0 at this end, it will stop, and then I'll switch off the control and put another cut on. Say maybe I might even take 30 thou this time and see how that goes. And then I just switch it back on again and activate, and it does another pass. So that's what's taking place. I'm going to take this off while I'm talking to you, because it's not, I'll switch it off now. It's not doing anything there. It's just in the way. So that's that. Okay, now switch it off, switch it on, and 10, 20, 30 thou. You know, this is just a tiny machine, so I don't want to overtax it so that I have a problem with something moving, and so we'll see how it goes. Do another pass. I guess what I should do first is to double check the width, and that should be 3.215. 3.215. I don't think I can get in there. No, I can't. Damn. But I can roughly look at it. I know I left about 50 thou on, I think. 3.212. 215. So yeah, it's getting pretty close there, I guess. Yeah, that's pretty close, it seems. Dirty stuff. That. Yeah, let's put Come on. Yeah, I think I'm going to move it out a little bit. That's 3.225. That's only, yeah. I thought I'd allowed for it, but I think I'll take less off just to make sure. Got to see. Damn. That's better. That'll do. I can always take more off. Let's try that. Make sure it's on the right way. Yeah. Okay, let's try again then. Okay, here we go. Okay, that seems to be going okay. I think maybe I'll just leave it at that, 30 thou at a time, and I guess maybe an hour it'll be down to the depth that I need. So this is just another process in the construction of this unit. What I did was, in the meantime, I turned it over and put this face down on the table and machined a flat, or about that wide I guess, on the casting on the radius there to give me a better clamping arrangement. When I did this, and the step on this side, it was just sitting on the radius of the rough casting, so it was necessary to do that to ensure that this thing was going to be down flat and parallel. So that's not going too bad. Guess I could put the speed down a little bit and increase the feed for a better cut, but then what happens is that puts more force or more stress on this piece that's clamped, and that's when things start to happen. So if everything's going fine, then it's not production work, so it's not doing too bad. Certainly better than when I was side facing. That was pretty hairy. Noise was terrible. So that's it, I guess. You can only go as fast as your machine will allow it, and in this case it's all based around the clamping forces that can be applied with such small T-slots. Certainly I don't think this machine was designed to cope with something large like this. I'll just finish off this pass, and then I'll close the video down, and we'll continue later on when I get this done. Maybe we'll start another video on something, maybe on this central part. I need to clean this central part up, get rid of all that terrible casting. It's like rust that's developed over 10 years. It's probably about that thick before you hit metal, and it comes off like a dust. So that's going okay. It's not bad. I mean, once it reaches this end, I could fast feed it back, I guess, put the feed up, but in the meantime I can watch TV or do something on the computer, so just let it run its course. That'll be okay. This larger belt system is certainly an improvement on the machine. Yeah. Just a little bit of vibration there. One of the things I am thinking about is, where are we? There's a, when you look at the, I'll turn the camera around, when you look at the casting over here, this casting here, that's about 8 inches wide. So what I was thinking was that at some point, I think I'm going to determine where the bolt holes are going to go in the base for clamping this down to the base, and once I've determined the centers of the bolt holes, I think maybe I'll around the center line of this I will also put the holes in there, and then even countersink probably from underneath, so that I can bolt this face down onto the table and use the bolt holes to really stabilize it and hold it down. Maybe I'll use these clamps as well, I don't know yet, just to be on the safe side. But then I can use these holes to clamp this cross slide on the table, and that will help by possibly getting rid of any clamps on the ends. I have to at some point I have to side mill the two ends square, because they're just a cut off on the cut-off saw. So that's another job that I may do before I move anything. I may put the holes in on this setup before I move anything. So just thinking ahead that I can use these holes to an advantage while I'm machining. So I might as well switch off now. I think you've seen what's taking place. I guess it's all a learning experience for me anyway. Not knowing how it's going to work, the problem of the oversized unit on a small machine, all things that you have to think about and take into what you're doing. So I'll call off now. Thanks for watching.